Once upon a time, a long time ago, I was working as a convention services coordinator, and I vividly remember the conversation that was happening at the next desk over. Now, I wasn't eavesdropping or anything, but our desks were this close apart and there were no walls, no cubicles, so I could hear what was going on. Now, at the time, my then friend and coworker was on the phone, and she was dealing probably, I think it was some financial matter, and she's a very bubbly, outgoing, nice person, but it was obvious from her tone and how the conversation was going that the person on the other line was not having a great day. They obviously had a lot of attitude. They were giving her a hard time. And the conversation was just spiraling downward. And you could hear the tension in her voice, and it was awkward. It was painful to listen to. But what she did just forever stuck with me. And instead of calling her out on it, asking to speak to a manager, raising her voice, getting frustrated, which, let's face it, a lot of times that's what naturally happens, she just very calmly, very sweetly, kindly just said, "Ma'am, are you having a bad day today?" And from then on, the conversation took a much different turn. She was quiet for a while. She was listening. She was, And then they even had a little laugh together. And then the conversation was very positive. She was smiling again, bubbly. I could tell that the other person was probably that way as well, relaxed. And she got the outcome that she desired from that phone call. And that forever stuck with me. I don't know why, but now that I've been learning about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and just the power of our language and building rapport with people, now I understand why that was so powerful. When you build rapport with people, that's when you get into a place where you're at pace with them, and then you can lead to the direction that you want to go. And I've talked about this when it comes to our kids, how to influence them. You got to be in that place of rapport with them. Powerful ways to do this is matching their breathing. That's very powerful. Matching the language that they use, matching their tone, their posture. Then once you're there in that place where you're matching them and you're at pace with them, then leading them in the direction that you want to go, versus if you come at them very adversarially at opposite tone, they're sad, you're angry, that kind of dynamic, it just doesn't ever really work. It just creates resentment or bitterness, etc. So don't miss this. It's very, very, very powerful, building rapport with people. Now, hi. Welcome back to our house. My name is Karen, and if you're new here, I like to help parents with sustainable homeschooling through the long haul, no burnout zone. And one of the things that I really like to talk about, I think is a big component of that, is just kind of these mental strategies, linguistics of it, how to talk to your kids, how to influence them, things like that I have found to be very powerful to get the outcome that you desire. There are no such thing as a bad system or failure. Everything is feedback and getting a certain outcome. So you can have a certain way that you talk to your kids that will consistently give you this poor outcome. Okay, that system is good at what it does to get that poor outcome. So if you just want to change it to a better outcome, you just have to change your system, your methodology. So in this video, I want to talk to you about 3 things that you could be doing to kill your kids' confidence and what you can do instead. So let's move on. Point number 1 is avoiding using is, that verb is, are. So when you say you are bad at math, or you are not trying hard, all those things, it right away kind of labels someone and puts them in a box. And that's not all who they are. They're a complex person. They're not just someone who's bad at reading or bad at math. So instead you could use the verbiage, it appears as if you are having a really tough day today. What's going on? Did you not get a good enough sleep? Instead of just saying, you're not doing your work today, you're being lazy, etc., etc. So just kind of in that conversation, she could have been like, you're in a really bad mood. Like, that is not the way to go. Instead, she was empathetic and listening and saying, are you having a bad day? Big difference between the two, So you're in a bad mood. You're not doing your schoolwork today. Instead, it appears as if, or asking questions. Are you okay? Is something going on? And listening. Listening is big. So instead of saying, he's a fast walker, saying things like he walks fast. And it's actually better writing if you teach your kids how to do this with their daily writing assignments, taking away that passive voice and adding more verbs. Instead of she's lonely, she felt lonely, and diving deep into that. But I like that whole it appears instead of you are so and so. It appears to me that, whatever's going on with the problem with homeschooling. It appears to me that you might not have all your math facts memorized. Instead of you just don't have your math facts memorized. That's why you're having a hard time. It appears to me. And you're leaving with that whole appears to be a way for them to save face, which leads me to point number 2, letting them save face. Now, this is kind of a hard concept to get across, but I'll do my best. One of the best ways that I can sort of explain this is something actually that our pastor has taught our congregation when it comes to soul winning, which is going door to door and giving people the gospel, showing them how to get to heaven according to the Bible. Now, when you get there, you ask them, what do you think it takes to get to heaven? And you'll hear all kinds of answers, live a good life, be a good person. I adopt dogs from the shelter. I mean, seriously, you'll hear all these things. Now, then you say, okay, well, the Bible says something a little bit different. Can I show you? And you walk them through, show them the Romans road, other verses. Now, when you get to the end, they have to make a decision. If they're going to go with what they previously thought, or after you've shown them this, that they're going to make a different decision. Maybe they're going to put all their faith in Jesus Christ, call upon the name of the Lord. It can't be just so that they're adding this belief system to, do this and be a good person and do, whatever, and adopt animals from the shelter. It's either or, right? So in order to do that, you have to remind them of where they were at before. So I think this is a great way. Instead of just saying, do you believe this? This is the way to heaven. And they say, yeah, I believe this. And then you say, well, when I got here, you said all you had to do was adopt animals from the shelter. That is not building rapport. That is putting them at odds. They're going to be defensive. They'll be like, well, that's not what I meant. It could go really bad. So instead, it's very smart what our pastor taught us, that let people save face. You can say, well, when I got here, do you believe this? Yes. Well, when I got here, you said it was, live a good life. And then maybe this is just, you're just repeating something that you've heard at church growing up all your life. Just kind of let people save face a little bit. And they'll be like, yeah, that's what might be, whatever. But yeah, I get this. This is right. Then you kind of lead them to, this is, which one do you believe now that I've shown you this, So you just let people save face. And I was talking about this with my husband last night. Sometimes he has to call people out at work that didn't do things, right during a shift. And again, using that whole is verb. You all or you guys didn't do this and this shift, and that's why this is happening. Those are combative words to other men, and they can be like, no, well, this. Instead, I was telling him, use that appears. It appears as if this project, this work, this machine was not completed during this time when the machine went down, whatever. That kind of gives people a little room to save face versus just, you didn't do it during your shift. You know what I mean? So letting kids save face. Same thing, instead of, you told me you had your math facts memorized and look, you're not passing your Saxon thing, you really don't, or again, letting them save face. Maybe you thought that you had all your math facts memorized, but it was more in the short term and not the long term, and it's okay. Maybe you just need to go back and review those facts. Maybe you just need to go back a few lessons, not trying to put them in that defensive place that, no, I have them memorized. I know I have them memorized. Okay. It appears as if you're just struggling with the division facts, multiplication facts. Why don't we just go back a few lessons, or why don't we take a pause and work on that and then move forward? So using that appears, avoiding the whole is, are, and letting people save face, including your kids, can go really far to building that rapport, to then pacing and leading to the outcome that you want. Now, before I move on to the next tip, if you like this type of content, sort of this NLP mindset thing, then I will leave a link down below where you can check out my sustainable homeschooling course. The first portion of it is all this. It's all mindset. It's language, how you talk to yourself, how you talk to your kids, all of that. That's the first portion of mindset, because I truly believe if you do not have the right mindset, you're not going to make it through the whole long haul of sustainable homeschooling. Or if you do, it might be a really painful journey, or it could be a lot more enjoyable, right? We want this to be sustainable and enjoyable. So I will leave a link down below. And last one is using the word yet. So a way that you can be killing your kids' confidence is not using this word yet. So what I mean by that is you don't have your math facts memorized. See the difference between saying that and you don't have your math facts memorized yet. The two, I'm telling you, are very different, and one of them gives more confidence than the other. So if a kid says, I'm just not a good speller, teach them to say, I'm not a good speller yet. That gives them more confidence. Okay, I'm working on this. It's going to get better. I'm going to be a better speller, right? I'm not good at math yet. First of all, I should really change that whole sentence structure, right? But something like that. I'm not good at tying my shoes yet, but they're working on it. So when you're talking to them, you don't know how to clean the bathroom right yet. Let me show you how to do it. Incorporate the word yet. And you, parents, this is really powerful for you too. I'm not really consistent with working out yet. I haven't been really consistent with my diet yet. But that's going to change. When you just leave off the yet, it just leaves you in that bad place. I'm not consistent with exercise. I'm not consistent with my diet. I'm not consistent with my finances yet. Now you're cooking. Now you're changing things. So teach your kids to use that word yet. It's very powerful. Now, at this point of the video, you've learned of 3 things that can kill your child's confidence, which is labeling, is, are, using that verb, and also not allowing them to save face, as well as not using the word yet. Now, while you wait for the next video, I do have a previous live video that I will link and add right here that you can watch that talks about really this concept of building rapport. I have some of my best tips in that video, so make sure that if you're interested in this, that you watch it. Comment down below if you find these tips helpful, and if you like this type of content, make sure to give it a thumbs up so I know to make more of this kind of NLP, neuro-linguistic type of videos. Let me know if you like them. All right, so I will see you in the next video. Bye.